Welcome to the debut episode of the Round Leather podcast. And today we are going to be focused on the final sprint, who secures the Champions League spots. My name is Uyi, and today we're diving headfirst to the truly climax of the Premier League season, with the title decided, and all are on the brutal scrap for the remaining Champions League spots. We currently have about 7 teams vying for that spot. Liverpool, as we know, they've won the league. And Slot has done a fantastic job in his first season. And today we're going to be breaking down these discussions with 3 sharp footballing minds, Lolu, Paschal, and Prince. Gentlemen, glad to have you here.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rui. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so let's start with Liverpool. We can't discuss the Premier League without talking about Liverpool first. Liverpool. How impressive has their season been really? So I'll ask Omololu. So when you look at Liverpool in the last 12 months or 11 months, as the case may be, what would you say stood out the most to you about this Liverpool side?
I hate Liverpool. Let me start with that. So whatever is our biggest, they are actually our biggest rival. We want to say it, but this season, everything that Liverpool have done and they've achieved, I can bet you no one saw this coming. No one saw this coming. I did not see this coming because coming to Liverpool, coming to England for the first time for Slot, and doing this, winning the league without I think it was just one addition. And the addition was not an addition because I can count the number of games he played. That was KS. He did virtually nothing. So what the guy did was, the team that was struggling last season, that could not even get to the top, maybe top 2 with us now, he added his own pattern, his own ways, and things were clicking. So for me, he did a very, very fantastic job for Liverpool. I won't lie. I'm not going to lie. There's no point in jinxing it. Salah had a very, very good, maybe 7, 8 months. It's just towards the tail of the season now that he's acting up, possibly because of the transfer. The new contract and the money. The money might be too heavy for him to score goals now. So definitely in the league, they did very, very well. I'm not going to lie. Winning the league in your first season, thumbs up.
Yeah, that's very correct. Yeah, you captured it very well. I think Liverpool have been exceptional this season, and Salah was very pivotal to that in the first couple of months, actually. Definitely. So Pascal, I'll come to you here. In your opinion, would you say that they surpassed expectations on that slot? Because remember, Jurgen Klopp, after having a couple of fantastic years for Liverpool, he won the Champions League, he won the Premier League, and when he left last season, I think there was this belief or fear from some Liverpool fans that they perhaps would take some time to rebuild, as we see with Chelsea and the like. So would you say they surpassed expectation on that slot, or was this always the case when it comes to Liverpool for this season?
Yeah, well, I just like Lolu said, he surpassed expectations. But there's something I actually understand from what they were able to leverage on. Slot inherited a good team, a strong team, to be very honest. So I think he concentrated on the strength of his team. He looked at what his team could actually achieve. The previous season, we're not forgetting they were top of the league for most part of the season, and it was just at the point where they announced Klopp's exit, some sort of distraction crept into the team. I think that was the point where they lost it because they were running away with the league at some point. So for me, he surpassed expectations. But then again, I think his biggest test will be next season. This will probably be, nobody saw it coming. Nobody planned for anything to stop them. And next season will actually determine if he's the true person, the true successor, that they've been waiting for, or it was just a flash in the pan.
Okay, that's quite insightful and impressive. Yeah, that's very correct. In fact, we're not going to leave Prince out here. Prince and his baby. And please, how pivotal was Mo Salah to Liverpool's success this season, this campaign? Yes, we shows the baby.
Well, yeah. Sorry, if you guys don't, if you hear some small sounds, she's trying to get be part of the podcast.
Exactly.
Anyway, So yeah, I mean, everybody knows, the numbers that Mo Salah brought to the Liverpool side this season. In fact, some would say, or most would say that, Liverpool were over reliant on him, which the numbers seem to suggest because, I think where I read an article, he contributed to over 56% of Liverpool's goals this season. So which kind of shows a sense of over reliance. So yeah, without no doubt, Mo Salah was almost everything to Liverpool's running in the season throughout the season. Even though like Lou pointed out that towards the end he seemed to have faded, but I mean I felt like these things will come. Nobody can be perfect. Can have perfect form. From beginning of the season to the end of the season, right? There'll be dips here and there. But at the end of the game, at the end of the day, his age too. You'd expect some at least a little slow down at some point. Yeah. So Mo Salah has been instrumental, in summary, to Liverpool's position this season, and it's a good thing because he's kind of give us the chance to wrap up the league as early as possible. So credit to Musala and a contract deserved, a good contract deserved.
Yes,
Yeah.
very. That's great on Musala. Yes, I agree with you there. I think from this we can all agree, no matter which side of the fence you're on, that Liverpool have been impressive this season. And I think a good chunk of football fans didn't really expect Liverpool to go on to win this league, and they did that. Considering the fact that they had parted with their long term manager in club, so they've done something that is quite impressive. We have to admit that. Now, moving on to the battle for the top five, or maybe rest four, as I would like to call it, because Liverpool have clinched first and won the Premier League trophy. They did that about two weeks ago. They did that with games to spare. Now, four slots are up for grabs in the next season for next season Champions League competition. Now, due to England's UEFA coefficient, they've done very well. The teams in UEFA competitions, they've done very well, and the English Football Association have been awarded about 5 slots for this next season's Champions League. We already know that there will be a sixth team in that competition next year. That will be either United or Spurs. We wait to see the result of the Europa League finals to know who will make that who will be that sixth team. Now, as it stands, as of today, Arsenal currently stand at 68 points. They just drew to Liverpool 2-2. Newcastle beat Chelsea to creep into third place at 66 points. City, due to the result they got at Southampton, against Southampton, they are at 65 points. Chelsea still stuck on 63, Aston Villa 63, and Nottingham Forest 62 points. Pascal, I'll come to you here. Which of these teams look most likely to lock up a spot based on current form?
Wow. Just before this weekend, I will have put my money on Chelsea clinching the fourth spot, maybe the last spot. But I mean, today's game was just disappointing. Well, I think regardless, looking at the games left to play, Newcastle, they've been strong this season, and I give it all to them. I give it to them. I mean, they've given everybody a run for their money. I mean, they've beaten I think almost all the top five teams. This season they've been very impressive. But the last two games, I think they have a game against Arsenal and two big games left to play. I suspect they will drop points there. They are likely to drop points, and maybe they might fall out of the Champions League spots. I mean, throwing my bias into it, uh, Chelsea may come in to nick the last Champions League spots. I mean, Chelsea has a game to play. Man U, and I'm not sure what the last game is. Nottingham Forest. I see
Yeah.
Chelsea maybe getting 4 points out of this and Newcastle getting less than three. So my money is still on Chelsea regardless.
Yeah, yeah, okay. For the record, my money is also on Chelsea. So, Mololu, who would you say is the dark horse amongst these teams, the remaining six teams vying for this extra four slots?
I think for me, if I'm time, I thought, oh, it was going to be Forest. But I think, regardless, Aston Villa, because they have games that are like simple. Chelsea have to play Man U, and they have to play Forest. Forest is like a direct rival for the same position, and I think that's the last game of the season.
Yeah,
So it's still going to be tough. But I think Aston Villa is in a position where they just want to capitalize on anybody's fuck ups, if I'm to use that word. Because yes, they've been trying to like grind out the results, and currently they're on 62 or 63 points. I'm not really sure, but I know that oh fine, that team they just need 2 wins, then hope that every other person sleeps. Now, when it
yeah.
comes to that, I can be sure that the game between Arsenal and Newcastle, someone is definitely going to drop points. Then the game between Chelsea and Forest, someone will also drop points. But they have the advantage that they are playing lesser teams. And I think they've actually peaked a little. It was not like that when it was like in February, March towards the Champions League time against Club Brugge. At least when they played PSG, they went down. But currently now they've actually peaked a little bit and they are grinding out the results, which are the main thing. So I feel there will be a dark horse, just 6 more points. Then definitely other people will drop points, either between Chelsea, Arsenal, or Forest. Newcastle also. So I feel they will nick it because even yesterday, nobody saw Man City dropping points against Southampton. It was like a weird freak result. So definitely they are still there. They can actually nick in something. So I'll actually tag them as a dark horse in this game.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, Aston Villa is. I think we can agree that they've been pretty impressive in the last. In fact, since Emery became their manager, I would actually say they've gone ahead to overachieve in most of the cases. So I'll come to Prince here, mentally
Yeah,
and
sorry,
tactically.
sorry, please, quick one. I think I also saw someone post that Aston Villa are playing Spurs and United.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
So definitely
I
they are
think they are playing two of the weakest teams in the league right now. So
Fair, yeah.
they are
So
playing
that you
all
can
Spurs.
have
things being equal, I think they've clinched one spot.
Exactly.
exactly, exactly. So anybody that loses loses that momentum in the last two games could actually lose that slot to Villa. Very possible. So coming back to Prince, so mentally and tactically, who would you say has the edge going into the final stretch? Which one team, if you had to pick just one team, who would you say has the
Oh,
edge?
just one thing.
Yeah, just one team.
Ah, okay. I was just about before Lulu came up with the last that last input there. So yeah, I already saw the fixtures. Aston Villa is playing Spurs home. That's, I mean, Spurs. I don't know if there's any team that league goes more than Spurs on this earth. So Aston Villa is definitely going to win that match for me against United. United away. I mean, there's really nothing to talk about United season. You know, all eyes is on the Europa League final. So what they do from here on is on the league is inconsequential. So Aston Villa will want to nick it on the last day. So yeah, definitely for me, Aston Villa is gonna. I mean, if you said two, I would have mentioned two. But since you say Aston Villa, they will definitely go in for me on the last day. They are like I said. I posted in the group earlier today. I said these guys they have momentum because I think their last 2 or 3 matches they've just won them by one goal, right? By one goal. So the next 2 matches are against teams that concede like at least 2 goals. So that is a no-brainer for me. So yeah, Aston Villa is the one that I will take as most likely to get into the Champions League ahead of the others, if you ask myself. Yeah.
Okay, that's fair enough. I think pretty much we all agree in this room that Aston Villa want to watch out for in the last couple of games, in the next couple of games rather. Okay, now let's talk about the teams individually. Arsenal, second FC, they currently still sit second, and inconsistencies and injuries to players like Jesus, Gabriel, Tomiyasu, Havertz, and this, of course, we know how it could derail your season. Now, Prince, do you think Arsenal can hang on to a top three finish? Now, this is interesting because we never thought we thought second or first place was what Arsenal was going to clinch, no matter what. Worst case scenario, second, but it looks like they are actually, and there's a real threat that they will finish third, if not fourth, depending on how the next couple of games go. So, do you think, Prince, do you think that they can actually hang on to a top three finish this season?
Okay. So yeah. So Yeah, Arsenal finishing Arsenal finishing top three. I mean, who would have thought? Yes, I still think they'll still make third. For you know, reason being that I don't see them losing the remaining, whatever games they have left. I think they have games against Newcastle and Southampton, right? So I mean, the worst case scenario would be drawing both games, but they should win Newcastle comfortably. Sorry, Southampton comfortably. So I see a draw in Newcastle's match. So they should be able to hang on to third, mostly because was it Chelsea and the rest, Chelsea and Nottingham Forest. I don't think anything is going to come out of those two teams. So I should be able to just hold on to third. If Man City pick them to second. So yeah, they are good enough to actually make that. I mean, and besides, at this point in time, since they don't really have anything to play for, I mean, it feels like the season is just like gone for them. The only option that they have now is to, okay, at least let's just stay on that second position. So they will try to play good enough for third. Their only tough game is Newcastle. So yeah, they should do it.
Lolu, you just heard Prince. He strongly believes that Arsenal can actually, worst case scenario, make third place this season. Now, do you think, in your opinion, that their squad is deep enough to handle this final push, considering the fact that they've suffered so badly in the last eight? I think they've won three in 9 games or 3 in 8 games. I stand to be corrected. So, do you think their squad is deep enough to actually push for this top three or top two finish? When you see the fact that they couldn't win a game against PSG, they've only won 3 in the last 8 or 9 games, and all the circumstances surrounding Arsenal at this point in time, do you think their squad is deep enough for that?
The honest truth is, when it comes to European football, we say, okay, fine. When it comes to pedigree, we can pick Real Madrid. So when it comes to Champions League position, that's Arsenal's bet right. They can't win the title if we're not deceiving ourselves. There's nothing that's going to make them win any title. But when it comes to, okay, fine, let us get the second position, they are masters at that. Now, when it comes to, okay, fine, let's vie for your Champions League, they are experts with doing that one. So I definitely believe they will get it. They will get that spot regardless of the results. Because next season again, they are going to start, yes, we want to win the league. Then they will just fall short. Then they will start going for their rightful position, maybe second or third. So that's the ideal thing. So I don't expect anything less from them. It's something that they're already used to or used with. So they'll definitely get that position.
Okay, okay, interesting. Pascal, so should this season be considered a success or failure for Arsenal? Because I assume that going into this season, they've come second.
Really?
They've come second twice in a row now. So I expect that their aspiration before the start of the season was to win the league. It has to be. No, I don't think anybody can come out to say that. Oh, we went into the season hoping to come second or Champions League spots. That's not for Arsenal. Not at this level. Also, considering the fact that their major rival in the last 3 years has been Man City, and City just fell off this season, and Liverpool just nick Arsenal to the title. So it's quite interesting. So do you think it's a successful season for Arsenal, or do you think it's a failure in terms of like season appraisal, end of season appraisal, in your opinion?
Oh, well, I mean, going by Arsenal standards, this is a huge success. I mean, I don't think there's anything more Arsenal, wants to get out of the league. If any other team wins the league, I think Arsenal will be very comfortable, clinching second. Even if Nottingham Forest wins the league, they are comfortable with second. It's something, I mean, they are used to. I really don't even know what they go to do in the Champions League every season. I mean, they should allow people who have the European pedigree, Chelsea and the likes, to go there and represent England. They always go there to, come short at the last minute.
I mean,
Regardless, I think
I mean,
they've earned their.
sorry to interject. I mean, they just beat Real Madrid. That's something, right?
Yeah, they did. I mean, the Real Madrid of this season, we know is they are not at the level. I mean, they are used to the football heritage. They dropped off a bit this season. You could see in their performances in La Liga. I mean, Barcelona has been beating them blue black almost the whole time they meet this season. So I think Arsenal they will clinch second, of course. I mean, they have some of the easiest ties to end the season. They will get at least 4 points. I see them beating Southampton, and worst case, a draw against Newcastle. It's a success going by their standard. I mean, you can't take it away from them. Second
Interesting.
FP, I mean, they will celebrate that, and like always, they will put a plan on paper for next season. But we know how it always ends.
Interesting. Okay. So let's move on to Newcastle. I think enough of us now. Let's move on to Newcastle. Today was quite. Today was for those of us that saw the game, it was quite interesting, right? So Newcastle just pulled a huge result against Chelsea, 2-0, winning 2-0. Chelsea by two goals to nil, catapulting themselves to third place. Pascal, how big was that result in the context of things?
Man, I think he was. I didn't see it coming. It was huge actually. Going by how Chelsea performed last weekend, we thought they were going to give them a run for their money, at least a draw. But we all know the talking point of that match was Nicholas Jackson, a needless red card. He had no
Yeah,
reason. I think it was maybe a 50-50 challenge. He had all the advantage. If the ball had, if he had allowed that ball bounce, I suspect he would have had an advantage over that defender. He had no reason to elbow the defender, and that was where Chelsea lost it. If you go down by one goal and you lose a man, no matter how no matter how much you try to come back, it's always very difficult. They start chasing the game at that point, and look at how the second goal came against the run of play. Guimaraes just got a sublime goal actually. It was huge for Newcastle. I give them kudos. I'm not taking anything away from them. They fought hard. They were very tactical. They held Chelsea off, and they got the results. Kudos to them. I think they deserve to be in the Champions League going by the quality they've shown this season. So,
yeah,
regardless, um, the victory is well deserved for them.
yeah. Honestly, I agree with you. I think Newcastle are just a good manager away from doing big things, doing achieving Man City level of
Eddie
achievements.
Howe is a good manager. I mean,
I
look
think
at what he's done with the team. They have
I
a
don't
trophy this season.
I get
I
it,
mean,
but
they are chasing
I just don't
Champions
share
League
that.
football.
I just don't share that sentiment that he's as good as he's not elite. I think with Newcastle's money, you need an elite level manager to get them to the next level. But I think with time they will probably get there. Um, Now, Prince, Tonali and Guimaraes were very excellent today. Is this midfield starting to dominate again? Because remember, Guimaraes had some issues at some point. Tonali was suspended for a very long was sidelined for a very long period of time due to I think doping or something like that, or gambling rather. So, do you think that this midfield they are starting to dominate again? What's your opinion on this?
I mean, everybody knows. I won't say everybody knows, but statistically, if you look at what the number says, it will tell you that Newcastle's midfield is like, if not best, the second best in the league. I mean, those three guys in the middle of the park, they're anchored by Bruno Gomares. I mean, yeah, it's enough to withstand or sustain any push. Um, like Pastor mentioned there, I mean, these guys are deserving of the position that they are, and they're also deserving of playing the Champions League next season. They are actually going to be my second team that that I was going to say, oh, after Aston Villa, they are going to be in that top five spots. Even if it was going to be, even if it's just a top four this season, I would still say Newcastle was going to still be in the top four this season. Because they have everybody know how physical they are. In the middle of the park. So yeah, the midfield trio, they're always going to match any Premier League team, all 20 teams this season, and beyond, if they build on that. And I would like to correct the notion that, for some reason, anybody thinks that Eddie Howe is not a good manager. I mean, when he was in Bournemouth, we could see signs that, okay, this guy has some kind of small talents there, like, being able to make Bournemouth very competitive in terms of, fighting the big boys then. But him being an English manager was only going to be that stereotype was only going to be there. English managers, they don't know anything. All they just know is how to give what do you call it? Just show themselves small like Graham Potter, and then when you give them the big job, they'll lose it. Now he's done. He's brought Newcastle to the Champions League. I think it's the second time they are going to Champions League if they qualify. So I don't. It's just what they just need to do is to recruit properly. And then he will just be up there with whoever needs to be. You don't need to bring any Carlo Ancelotti or whoever to make Newcastle aim for big things. Just the right recruitment will do wonders. So yeah, they should be able to hang on to anything that the Premier League throws at them, and they should just recruit good for next season. Keeping the like options wide in the midfield and every other department.
Okay. So Newcastle are currently ahead of City, and just because of today's results against Chelsea. Omololu, do you think they can hold this position or even challenge for second place?
Definitely. I think they can. I actually like the team. They are very physical. That's the main thing. I think Eddie Howe has figured out that okay, fine, this is how I want to play. This is what I need. So mostly they depend on that physicality that's coming from Bruno Guimaraes, from Tonali, and the failed striking midfielder. That's Jolinton. Because anybody that plays that team, they hustle and chase everybody down. So on their good day, they are a very, very, very good team. And I think this season it's actually going to be a defining season for them because regardless, they will get to Europe because they were able to cross over the line and win the Carabao Cup. The Carabao Cup was actually something that they should have won. Was it 2 seasons ago when Man U won it? I think they were the best team in the Carabao Cup. We were just lucky that Man United won it. But this season, they won it, celebrated the trophy after many years. Now they're vying for even second, third position. So actually, after the whole season, we were able to like nick one of the cups, get into Champions League. So I feel they are a very, very good team, and they're actually going to get the slots for the Champions League. So we get to see them again. I think it was the last season or 2 seasons ago when they were in the Champions League and they won PSG or something like that. So it's going to be actually good to see Champions League coming to St. James Park again. So I'm good one for them.
Okay, that's good. So let's move on to City, Manchester City. They started the season pretty okay, better than they usually start other seasons. Because we know Man City, they start very poorly and they pick up steam towards the mid and tail end of the season. Now, they started this season a bit better than they usually would, and then for most of the middle of the season, they were very horrendous. They were terrible. But of course, they've gotten some level of form and they've picked up some crucial results since then. Currently, they are fourth, trailing Newcastle. Of course, they still got their injury issues. Rodri is still out. Stones and Ake are all sidelined. Prince, is this where squad depth bails them out, or do you think they are still vulnerable?
So to understand your question properly, so are you talking about like just this season or beyond?
No, I'm talking about this season, the rest of the season.
Oh, okay.
They just drew to, considering the fact that they just drew to bottom of the table, relegated Southampton. Do you think that
Yeah.
their squad depth is able to bail them out for the next 2 games, or do you think they are still vulnerable?
Okay, so I'm gonna kind of like track back to earlier in the season. We had some banter in the group, and I remember at the turn of the year, people were like, "Oh, how New Man City is now. They will just look like, they are faltering, and then they'll put a run of wins together, between January or in fact from January to May, and they'll do like that 19 wins in a row, and then they'll be that." And I told people, I said, from what I see, from what these guys have played from August to September, right? There's nothing that anybody will tell me. There's a fundamental problem in Man City. There's a full problem that I just cannot just shake. Even Prep said does not even understand. They were asking some of their players who they bring out. The player said, I don't know what is going on with us. Like nobody can explain this. It's almost like village things, right? So yeah, there's a fundamental problem, and For the rest of the season, I mean, for the road, the season is almost over. What they had, the matches that they have, they should be able to see that through to hang on to the Champions League positions. They should. I mean, they would either finish second or third. Regardless of who their opponents are going to be, because amongst the chasing pack, besides Aston Villa, who has form now, among chasing pack, they are a little I mean, experience might just kind of just give them that edge to just like keep it between second or third, but the problem is still there. They will I don't know what they're going to do over the transfer window, but that should be where they should be able to get some form of resurrection back to their or life back to their team, but this season, nothing for them. They're all the best that they can get is second, mostly because of Arsenal's wobbly form right now. But they're just as good as they were when they were at the beginning of the season at August. No difference. No improvement, no decline. They're just there.
Okay, so Pascal Prince just talked about De Bruyne. We all know that he's leaving City at the end of the season, so he's going to start a new chapter elsewhere. People have said in the past that they probably made a mistake letting Palmer go to Chelsea, and he would have been a perfect deputy or replacement for De Bruyne. Now that moment has come, and you look at their squad. Bernardo Silva is old. So it's pretty much he pretty much doesn't have a lot of gas in him. There's no but Gundogan is pretty much done, get and buried. So how do you think Man City would replace De Bruyne? How would you replace De Bruyne if you were Pep or you had Pep's ear right now? How would you which player would you tell him to get, or which players would you tell him to get to fill in the void that De Bruyne is going to leave? Because it's going to leave a very huge void in the City team next season.
Well, yeah, if it was left to me, I don't think this is the time to move De Bruyne on. I mean, De Bruyne is a player that if you can even squeeze out 15 games out of him or 10 in a season, he will give you sublime. He will give you a sublime performance. Pep, for reasons best known to him, knows how to, discard players even in their prime. We remember Eto'o, Deco, Ronaldinho.
Yeah.
Once he just sees he can't work with you, or for some reasons best known to him, he's quick to move the player on. But I mean, if you look at them this season, I think I watched that game. I think the turning point for them, you know, this season was that game against Arsenal. It was you could see that game actually tore into their mental fabric. I mean, Arsenal actually brought them back down to earth, you know. And from that point, you could see the struggle for the rest of the season. And for I think another key factor in their turn of performance was Pep's personal issues. His divorce. You could see. I mean, sometimes you don't know what's going through his mind on the sidelines. He could be dishing out instructions and thinking about what he's going to lose. His properties and all. I mean, those things
Yeah.
could play a factor. And like Prince has said, I think the situation they are in right now will go with them into the next season. They have to move a lot of players on. They will move a lot of players on. And, for the players that could be coming in, you don't know if they're going to be the right fit. You don't know if they're going to be the ball playing, players that Pep will always love. Then again, I think this season they've been battered with injuries, especially at the back. A lot of teams could figure them out. Once you break the midfield, I mean, you could get a shot on target against City, and a couple of teams figured that out. Bournemouth, you could see how they tore them to shreds. The defense was nowhere to be found when the Bournemouth players ran at them. So it will go with them to the next. Even with the January signings, it didn't make any difference. They were still lackluster in defense, transitioning. Sometimes they struggled. Haaland has dipped in form. I mean, for them to go not to score a goal against a relegated Southampton, it shows you there's trouble, big trouble. But let's see next season. I'm sure they'll still struggle next season. But I hope it doesn't go on for so long because if it does, City will be back to the old City we've always known, underachievers, and it will be very bad for them.
I hope it goes on for so long so that Guardiola will feel you experience what people are experiencing.
Yeah,
So I think
he's
one
brought
thing,
down to earth now. Yeah.
yeah, I think one thing we can agree on is that you can never write off City. Worst case scenario, they'll throw money at their problems. So Lulu, I'll come to you here. Do you see them finishing top three, or could they slide further down?
Definitely, yes, they will. They will. They will. Because I think that's the only saving grace with the FA Cup final that he has. I can't really pinpoint what happened to them this season, but I think if I can trace it, I will go back to their recruitment. They lost players and their recruitment was bad. I saw no reason why he had to bring back Gundogan. No, no, no. The intensity is not again for Gundogan. So the recruitment was bad. And I think this guy was actually a prospect, Oscar Bob. He was actually someone that, during preseason, he was actually playing well. Even in what's this cup? The curtain raiser for every league. What's it called? The Community Shield against Man U. That was when he got injured. Oscar Bob was actually, we felt he was going to be the one to let's see. He knew talent was going to unleash to every other person. But along the line, they just started playing drab football. It was not working. Injuries were coming. Ruben Diaz was on and off. Akonji was off. Stones was out of it. And even Alan at one point, the goals were not coming. Even though regardless, he scored, I think, around 15 goals, and that's a bad season for Alan. So I feel
Yeah.
with just 2 games left, they will be able to make it. Yesterday it was a very, very funny game because I think I saw the game and they had their first shot on target in the 72nd minute. A whole Man
Yeah.
City with Alan back. But I think for next season, they've actually learned. Their recruitment in January was good. Mamouche is a good player, no doubt. He's a very good player. And I think for the backline that's always having issues, they were able to get Victor Reis and this guy, Kusanov, or what's his name. So I feel next season they will come back stronger. But I wish they don't
Okay.
come back stronger, sure.
Okay. Okay. Fair enough. Let's move on to Chelsea. Chelsea, they currently sit in fifth place, and that's because Nottingham Forest did not take advantage of the opportunity to get a point over Chelsea. Chelsea were just beaten by Newcastle that ended their 6 match unbeaten run. They currently look rattled. Jackson was sent off needlessly, and they are still missing Nkunku and Fofana. Nkunku, I think we can all agree that he's done for. Fofana also. So, Lulu, coming back to you, do you think this result against Newcastle United has dented their top five hopes?
Uh, I really can't say because Newcastle is a tough team. I think what is going to actually be the defining factor for their season regarding Champions League football is going to be the match on Thursday against United. I think if they can't get results from that match, they should forget it. That's the honest truth. If they can't get the result against United, they should forget Champions League football. Because today, somehow I felt Newcastle was going to actually get the points that they needed today, regardless of whether Jackson or Nkuku or whatever was going to play. But today's match for them, it was shambles because I think there's something that I think I've learned from Newcastle in like their first few games. What they do basically is within the first 5 minutes, they eat you. And once they get that first goal, it's more or less like it is over. Then I think with the
Yeah.
first few seconds, Chelsea were trying to act that way and attack. Then the next thing, the ball was just a long ball. Chelsea, the defense was nowhere to be found, and they got their first goal. So I feel, regardless, this season, I'm not going to lie, Chelsea has actually tried because I didn't see Maresca pulling these results. And most of the guys that we actually expected were going to ball, they did not, especially Nkuku. I don't know whether it's the same Nkuku they signed, that scored goals for Bundesliga, or maybe Jackson is actually doing African witchcraft that he can't even score because Nkuku is worse. For Jackson to actually be benching Nkuku, no. It's not worth it. But overall, I think with all the challenges they've had, signing I can't even count 10,000 guys in one transfer windows. So Chelsea, let's see what happens on Thursday is actually going to be the defining factor for me. If they can beat Man U, definitely fine. But if they can't, they should forget it because Forest is not going to accept on that last day.
Okay. Okay, I think that's agreed. If Chelsea don't get a result against United, then they can as well kiss top five. Bye bye. Pascal, Jackson's red card is such a big loss. We know that he shouldn't be leading the line against a team like Chelsea. Jackson is not of that pedigree. When you look at the likes of Diego Costa, DJ Drogba, Dembaba, Samuel Eto'o, and so on, and I can keep going on and on and on. But we have what we have now. Jackson is our striker, unfortunately. Nkoko has not stepped up to the occasion. So do you think, so now that he's gotten his red card, who would you say steps up? Because Nkoko is pretty much in the hospital every day. McGill is not back to full fitness last time I checked. So who do you think steps up in attack against United and Nottingham Forest?
Man, I think this is just the time to play false nine. There's nothing Chelsea is actually missing. This is the best of Chelsea. Looking at the squad, Jackson is not the striker to take Chelsea to the level we expect.
Yeah, we
I
cannot agree.
mean, regardless of the goals he has scored, you need to see the misses, the chances he misses every game in, game out. It's tough for him to, pull the team through. But I think the recruitment has been shambolic. If you look at Chelsea in the last 5 years, we downgraded in every aspect, every part of the team. I sometimes I wonder if players like Pulisic, um, what's his name again, the nine at AC Milan, um,
Tammy Abraham?
Tammy Abraham, and and Loftus Cheek. I think they will have done better than these boys. I mean, looking
Agree.
at the
Yeah.
pedigree, the quality, Chelsea downgraded everywhere, not just in attack, in the wings. I remember the days where Chelsea used to have Didier Drogba, Salomon Kalou was there assisting. You had Anelka, you had Maluda. I mean, a
Yeah.
plethora of options up front. The goals could come from anywhere. You had Lampard, contributing the goals from the midfield. You don't see that anymore in the team. And everything is now left to a striker who is below par, Jackson. One thing that is going to be key for Chelsea in the next season is recruiting an out and out striker, a very top quality nine in the mode of Victor Osimhen. I can't stress this any better. If Victor Osimhen is what Chelsea needs to actually, fit the puzzle, get everything back to the quality we've always known Chelsea to be. Get a Victor Osimhen and maybe one or two wingers, quality wingers. Now, not just Pedro Neto he's been good this season. I mean, he's been on and off. Sometimes he's the last balls. The quality he brings. After doing all the hard work, is poor. But I think playing with a good striker will bring the best out of a lot of those players. You see that?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, you have situations where players like Caicedo, Enzo would have had very good assists, but I mean, they have a player in front in Jackson. He throws the ball away. I mean, what can they do? They can't do more than they are paid to do. So next season will be key. Recruiting very quality striker will be key for Chelsea. In resurgence.
Okay. That's interesting. So I'm coming to you, Prince, here now. Pascal just mentioned the fact that in the last 5 years, Chelsea have pretty much downgraded, and I agree with him. They've downgraded from in the attack position. When you look at Jackson versus Tammy Abraham, even in the winger position, you can argue even in midfield position, you had Kante, and now you have Enzo and Caicedo. I mean, come on. I love Caicedo, I love Enzo, but I think we can agree that Kante was in a world of his own. The manager, of course, too. The manager is Pep Guardiola look alike. He's not even good enough, in my opinion. So now, do you think the manager Maresca is under pressure? Do you think he gets sacked if he doesn't win? If he doesn't make the top five this season?
Okay, Chelsea, the curious case of Chelsea. Well, for me, I think everything said about Chelsea is to an extent. I feel like people are just it's just kind of like overplayed, right? In all honesty, Chelsea, with Maresca, with Todd Bowley, ever since the whole stuff with with Roman Abramovich. Chelsea has always been in transition, and what people fail to realize is that they're actually in transition. They're building, right? They have all these young stars, with 20 years contract signed and all that stuff. They're trying to get somewhere. The problem here is expectation. That's what I think. I feel like their fans are over expectant. Thinking, oh, we should get what we want. For me, I feel like Maresca has done a very, very good job, getting Chelsea to where they are. I mean, first of all, they're in the final of the Conference League Plus. You know, at one point they were, was it top of the league or second, right? So,
Yeah, second.
compared to compared to the predecessors over the last 2 seasons. So, like that's what's his name now? Potter and the other guy,
Pochettino?
the guy who's American coach now, right?
Poch.
Yeah, Porsche. Yeah. I mean, he's done fantastic. He's done fantastic to me, right?
Okay.
All you just need to do is to build on the next season. Take the lessons learned from this season. Okay, now you need a striker.
Mm.
The core of the team is already there. They have understanding playing together. Even if they finish fifth or sixth, at least they've gone to a certain level. Next season, build on that. Get you don't recruit the positions that you think that that can help you get over the line. Maresca is doing a fine job, in my opinion. Chelsea fans might not like it, but that's what I see because I feel like they brought him in to build, and he did that, and he was able to get them almost to Champions League. If for any reason now Chelsea now gets to Champions League, what do you now say that he's still a bad guy? No, in fact, he exceeded expectation, and he said it from the beginning. Look, these guys are still young; they cannot give you guys what you guys are looking for. But when they were in second, it was almost like, oh, okay, we can do this, and everybody forgot that this is a small team trying to just get to where they are. So yeah, I think you should cut him some slack. I'll give him like one more season to kind of like build on what he has started, and we'll go from there.
Okay, interesting. So I'm just going to run through Aston Villa and Nottingham Forest now. Aston Villa currently sits sixth. They are level on points with Chelsea on 63 points. Nottingham Forest seventh. Um, uh, they couldn't capitalize in today's game against Leicester. I think Leicester City. They currently sit seventh. So now my first question will be to Omolu. What gives Aston Villa, what's giving them an edge in this top five race? What would you say give them an edge in this top five race? We already agreed that they're a wild card. So just to keep it short and sweet, what would you say give them an edge in this top five race? Yeah, Amadou?
So can you guys hear me now?
Yes, loud and clear.
Okay. All right. I think I am going to pick them to like actually nick it because of the teams that are going to play towards the end of the season. I think the last two matches they have are like I can't really share. Let me just pull up and see if someone can help me with the matches that they have.
I think,
Nottingham Forest on the last day, Man U tomorrow.
no,
Oh,
no,
you mean Aston
Villa. I'm
Villa?
talking of
No,
Aston
Villa.
I
Villa
mean
have
Aston Villa. I mean
Spurs and Man
Spurs.
U.
Exactly.
Spurs.
Spurs
Spurs
and
and
Man U. Oh
United,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, I think we discussed this before. Spurs and Man U. Definitely, they will want to rest him for the 20.
Okay, I think we lost Lulu. That's fine.
Okay.
So, okay, is he back? Okay, he's back. Okay, perfect. Okay,
You just you just lied.
okay. Okay, so we move on. We move on.
Hello, can you guys hear me now?
So, okay, so Momololu, did you tell us what you wanted to tell us? I think we can move on.
I
Okay, so Prince, talking about Villa, their final match is against struggling side Spurs. Could that seal the deal for them? Just keep it short and sweet, please.
The final match is actually I think it's against Man U.
Is it even
But
United, eh?
the next match,
Okay, so
yeah, the next match is against Spurs.
Spurs, okay. So
So yeah,
the match against
I
United, do
mean,
you think it seals the deal for them? Because it's the last match of the season.
oh yeah, oh yeah. I mean, there's really no. I mean, like you said, I'm just keeping it short. There's no need to drag this. Aston Villa, for me, they're gonna make it. They're gonna defeat Spurs at home next week, and for Man U. That is the deal. That is a no-brainer to me. I mean, it's not to. I don't. I don't want to like throw my under the bus and make it seem like they are very, very. They are terrible, Sha.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, they will do the job.
Okay.
They'll get 6 points. And that'll be it.
Okay. So coming to you, Pascal, on Nottingham Forest, we know they have Chelsea as the final game of the season. Do you think, irrespective of if they make the Champions League slot or not, do you think it's been a successful season for them?
Oh yes, Nottingham Forest have exceeded expectations. I mean, if you are honest, with the quality, they have and the teams they've competed against. I mean, against City, Arsenal, they are fifth right now. I think they're fifth or sixth. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
they're
mean they've
sixth.
exceeded expectations. They can bow out with their head
Sorry,
held
they're
high.
seventh. Nottingham Forest are seventh. I
They're seventh.
apologize.
Okay, yeah. So
Yes,
they're seventh with the possibility of ending fifth.
of
I
course.
mean, they've done very well. Nobody saw this coming. I mean, they are normally, with all due respect, a mid-table team. What additions do they have? They have Woods leading the pack. I know, Gibbs White. I mean, they've been a decent side, and they
Yeah.
deserve every bit of success they've had.
Okay, so we can agree that Nottingham Forest have had a successful season, even if they make the Champions League slot or they do not.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay, so
very good one.
so on to the money round, guys. Your top five predictions. I'll start with Pascal. Give me your top five predictions quickly.
Okay. For me, I think Liverpool champions.
Of course.
Arsenal, City, Newcastle, Chelsea.
In that order.
Yes.
Okay, so just Chelsea and Newcastle next. Okay, that's fine. I go to Prince now. Prince, what's your prediction?
Yeah, okay, so obviously Liverpool are champions, so that doesn't count. Um, second, it's going to be interesting, but I think I may just okay. Arsenal second. Arsenal second, just because they are going to play Southampton on the last day, so that 3 points there will be enough for them to still second. But yeah, Arsenal second, Man City third, Newcastle fourth, Aston Villa fifth.
Okay, interesting. Omololu, what's your pick? What are
The
your picks for
same
top five?
same thing with friends.
Okay, so just for the record, my pick would be Liverpool first, of course, they're already champions. Arsenal second, Newcastle third, City fourth, and Chelsea fifth. So with that said, that wraps up our episode one of the Round Leather podcast. Champions League is alive and kicking. We'll be back next week to react to more drama, more twists, and more drop points. Thanks to Pascal, Prince, and Omololu for the insightful discussion. And to you, our listeners, thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe, follow us, and drop your top five predictions in the comment section on socials. See you next time. Bye. Cheers.
All right. Thank you very much, guys.